There was so much happening during those headlines with tangents and whatnot, and I'm so glad that our next guest was in studio to hear it all because
He can hang
he
and-
knows about all of it, about Full House and
Maybe
all
he
of
has
that
a Full
goodness,
House reference.
and singing and Blaine Fowler, Uncle B, back in
What's up, Blaine?
Studio B,
Full House, man. That is like you're going back.
right?
But I would go back even further. Like when my mom used to call me a vidiot. Like I would come home from school or practice and sit down and watch in succession Gilligan's Island, Brady Bunch, and I Dream of Jeannie. Right in a row. Bam, bam, bam.
Classic.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
all time.
That's great television.
yeah, that's good stuff. And it's still the thing is, my kids could watch those shows too because they were growing up with Nickelodeon and they would watch them on Nickelodeon. So they know all the same shows I know.
Classic.
Well, now they're on TV land. The channel still
Yeah.
exists with all of those. Good stuff. Okay, let's talk about something that's almost as important as Gilligan's Island and Full House. BYU football in the NFL draft. 2 players projected to go in the 7 rounds, Jamal Williams and Harvey Longy. And we want you to make your bold prediction regarding BYU football in the NFL draft. So we know that those 2 guys are going, but can you give us something more to spice it up and make it a little more bold?
Well, it's hard because the draft is a little bit predictable for BYU this year. But I will say, I heard your last guest, and he was saying that he thought they would both go maybe not until Saturday. I think one of the 2 will go Friday. So one of those 2, and I think it's probably going to be Jamal, are going to go before the end of the 3rd round on Friday. And I don't know where to. You know, I hit Ziggy right on the nose a couple of years ago.
Yes, you
and
did.
you want to know what I hit? I hit Kyle too. You guys are forgetting I hit Kyle too. But the 1st round is really easy to project because you know exactly what every team needs with their first pick. So now you can look at the rankings and go, okay, if he's the number 3 defensive end, these are the 3 teams that need a defensive end. They're going to take a defensive end with their first pick. He's going to go number 2, whatever. And so that's really, really easy to predict. Once you get past the first 2 rounds, now all that shuffling that goes on in the beginning of the 3rd round, and maybe somebody moves up in the 2nd to the 1st, it's just so hard to predict where they'll go at that point because now teams start going, even though we need an inside linebacker, well, there's a better athlete available that's an outside linebacker. And so things get crazy after the first 2 rounds. So for me to predict what team and where past the 2nd round is really hard. I have a wish. I want Jamal to go to the New York Giants because that's just my childhood team. And their running back right now is Paul Perkins.
UCLA.
And I think Jamal is similar to Paul Perkins. I think he's as talented as Paul Perkins. They've had success with him. They need depth at running back, and that's my home team. That's the team I grew up with. I think he'd have a good opportunity there. So that's where I want him to go. I think it would be fun. My office is back there, so I'm back there all the time. I'd be able to connect with him again. And so there's my wish for Jamal. That's not by any means where I think he's going to go, but that's my wish for Jamal is to go to the New York Giants.
And he could be reunited with high school, friend and teammate Dante Dion, who plays corner, who played at Boise State. That'd be cool. Okay, how about Harvey Longy? Do you have a hope?
I don't know that I have a hope for him. But I think that this is a class. So it's a running back class that's pretty good at the top end. I still think that Jamal's in the top 10 backs in the country. In fact, I think that's where everybody else has him rated. I think, in my mind, he's in the top 5 or 6 backs in the country. He's going to be really, really productive as long as he can stay healthy. So I think he's been in the league for a long time if healthy. I think this is a thin class at inside linebacker this year. And so I see Harvey going maybe in the 4th round in this draft. And maybe somebody takes a flyer on him, takes him early. But I think all the things I've been reading are showing, well, he's about 4th round, which is great because nobody was saying that 3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know,
He has improved his draft stock
his
so much.
numbers have improved. And every time a pro scout gets an eyes-on look at him, where they're standing next to him, he just looks like an NFL inside backer. And I think they look at him and go, not only is he big and physical and can play inside, he's gone back and forth, so he's way below his potential. If he had played inside backer his entire career and never switched position, he'd be a first 2-round draft pick because he's that big and that physical and runs that well. Then they look at him and go, and he runs so well. If he's not our starter, we can plug him in on every special team that we have. So he's a guy that that I think is probably a little bit undervalued, and I also believe he will play for a long, long time if healthy in the NFL. So those two guys are locks. So who else? I think Kai has done more to improve his stature and status with these guys than anybody else on BYU's. They're the guys that are going out this year with his pro day. Because I think people questioned how fast he was. They're like, oh, he's a great playmaker. He's got these great instincts. He's a ball hawk. His ball skills are second to none in the NCAA, and they are. But I think he surprised him with his vertical jump and with his 40 speed. And so I think there's some people that are going, okay, we want this guy. He's a secret, so we're not going to take him. But maybe he gets into that 6th and 7th round, and you have a good team that's going, okay, we pretty much got everything we want. Now who? Now who's the best athlete left? You know what? Maybe we better snatch up that Nakua kid before somebody takes him as a free agent. So could he go? I think he could be a surprise and go in the 6th or 7th round. But regardless, if he goes as a free agent, if he continues to work the way he has in this offseason, he's got a chance to make a squad.
And what of Taysom Hill, Blaine Fowler? What is the NFL future for one of the most polarizing, intriguing BYU football players in the history of Cougar football?
Somebody's going to sign him because he's intriguing to a lot of people. He's one of the most freakish athletes I've ever been around in any sport. They came to his pro day, and remember, he's still rehabbing his injury, and he was phenomenal in pro day. And his body, I mean, he looks like an NFL guy. What position? I don't know. He looks like he can play outside linebacker. He looks like he could play running back. He looks like he could be a big, physical, strong safety. And he threw the ball really well. And so I think there are teams that are going, you know what? He's never really had an off season ever in his career to just work and to hone his passing skills. So somebody's going to give him a shot. And I think he can make it as a quarterback. And I've talked to Ty, and Ty thinks that with focus and tons of reps in one system, that he's got the potential if somebody's patient enough. But if he doesn't make it as a quarterback, somebody else or even that team's going to say, we're going to keep you a little bit longer. How about switching over to, let's just say, outside linebacker? Would you be willing to do that? And I think Taysom's mindset is, I want to play football. And so I'll do whatever it takes. I want to be a quarterback, but I'll do whatever it takes. And I think if he can stay healthy, my heavens, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's a freak athlete. And maybe he becomes like Todd Christensen. Remember, Todd Christensen, we always forget about Todd Christensen. He got let go by the Cowboys. And then he switched positions with the Raiders, and he wasn't just one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. He was one of the best players, period. He led the league in receiving, not just for tight ends, period. And is one of the greatest players that BYU's ever produced in the NFL, but he got cut. In fact, he may have gotten let go twice by the Cowboys. But he was persistent, and I think that Taysom's got the physical skills that if he stays healthy and is persistent, he can play.
Great stuff, Blaine.
And unfortunately, none of these guys are going to be playing on August 26th.
Countdown to the Viking.
121. Hey, BYU Sports
Blaine's in
Nation's
on it.
version
Yeah.
of the three
Yeah.
tenors.
Yeah.
The three tenors in Studio B.
I wanna
At least
be a
for the
baritone,
countdown.
though.
We need to work on some harmony on that.
Yeah, well,
that's
we
next
tried
level.
harmony one
That's next-
time, and
It was too
and
cheesy.
Jaron was like, "No, I don't want
It wasn't good.
Well,
it was
you
good,
could
but
probably
it was
you could
too
probably
cheesy.
You know
pull it
what?
off.
We're gonna try it, and we'll practice, and then one of these times we'll do it in
Then
harmony.
again, you and I harmonized to the national anthem one
Yes.
time at the West Coast
It
Conference
was,
basketball
and I got to
tournament.
tell you, we started doing it, and I heard, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I got goosebumps.